Hey there, Shrine Runners! Hello, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and today we're going to be playing some more Please Be Happy. Hey there, Callista. Welcome. Hope you're all doing all right. I'm doing pretty good, and I am looking forward to seeing how this storyline goes. It seems a lot sadder than the Aspen storyline. So I I've said this before, but I do enjoy sad stories. Hopefully, we get to have a happy ending at the end. But yeah, definitely tugging on the heartstrings here with this. So, with that said, let's get things underway, shall we? Alrighty then. So, where last we left off.
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were learning that Juliet was possibly thinking about returning to the underworld. So let's see how things go and if Miho's able to convince her to stay. All right. So this is a scene that we've already seen before, so we're going to be skipping over that. Oh, we've got the school kids now. This was my favorite place. Let's say the library.
Right here at the library.
Over here, let's go to Victoria. All right. Oh man, the mountain is all muddy from an early morning rain. It was heavy enough that even the paved road is covered in mud. Tread carefully, though I might, my shoes sink dangerously into the slippery slop, all while maintaining zero traction. Unless I want a face full of mud pie, I think I'd better head back down for today. I'm not a picky eater, but that's a bit too much even for me. Yeah.
I wonder if those kids found something to write about.
Oh, this one's new apparently. We get students visiting the library all the time, but I've never met any others who came from so far away, like Cello and her friends. I wonder what it must be like to go on a big adventure like that with the people you care about. I bet that it would make traveling more fun to have someone to talk to. It'd be nice if I was able to do that. I like being here in Welly, but I know that someday I'll have the urge to journey again and see more of the world. Well, we could go see the underworld with Juliet. Um, I I see that as a win as well, right? That seems like it could be fun. I'd love to show Juliet some of the places I've been. She's helped me make Wellington my home, so I'd like to show her where I came from, what made me who I am. That's part of why I have such mixed feelings about what she told me yesterday. Even if she did go back to the underworld, it isn't like I'd never be able to see her again. It would just be a lot less often. We've seen each other a little bit today, but I haven't really talked much since breakfast. I'd like to spend some time with her, though, especially if I may not have many more chances to do that. I slip on my shoes and head down to her study, where there's a flicker of lamplight from under the door. I knock 3 times, just like she always does.
Come in.
I open the door to find her at her desk, a pen in hand. Of course, she smiles when she sees me.
Good evening, Miho. What brings you here?
Not much. I just wanted to come see you. Are you busy?
Not at all. Would you like to sit?
Yeah, sure.
She sets her pen aside and puts some papers into a drawer as I sit down across from her. They probably come from one of her research projects. In my head, that's the main thing she uses this room for.
Would you like some tea?
Nah, I'm good. Thanks.
She prepares a cup for herself, and as we sit there quietly, I realize that I don't actually have a plan for how to hang out together. It feels easier to talk to Aspen a lot of the time, mostly because she likes to tease me or has things to complain about. When I'm with Juliet, we talk less, which I don't mind myself. It's not that I don't like talking with her, of course, but more like I don't always have something to say. Aspen has her writing and the Bell House, whereas Juliet just has the library and the past. Scratching noise in the corner gets my attention, and I look over to see a couple bats hanging from one of the rafters. Juliet follows my eyes, gazing fondly at the creatures.
Jasper and Fiddlesticks found it a little cold for their liking, so they've been warming themselves inside for a while.
Mentally, I thank the bats for giving us something to chat about.
How'd you come up with their names?
I call them after characters from books or acquaintances I once knew for the most part. The names are more for me than for them.
He's actually a huge League of Legends player. She is very high rank. She was scouted for TSM, but she declined, citing her work at the library and her research to be more important. Fiddlesticks main.
Do they answer to them?
Oftentimes, yes. Although I'm sure it's also a convenience for my sake.
Makes sense. Words are hard when you're just an animal. Back with my person, I could understand anything they said to me, just the way they said it. It took a long time as a Gumiho before I learned enough words to understand. Before that, they were just sounds I'd memorized.
I imagine it's like that for Fiddlesticks and the others. Just sounds that they can recognize. That's all language really is, though.
Language is arbitrary. One of the bats flaps its wings, adjusting itself, but remaining hooked to the ceiling.
Do you ever talk to them as a bat?
No, though I'm sure they can sense that part of me. I imagine it's why they chose the library as their roost. Cosette used to call them pets. They've always been wild. Still, she was the one who first began naming them.
Whoa! They've been coming here for that long?
Not the same bats, mind you. The ones Cosette knew are long gone. Jasper, Fiddlesticks, and the others are from many generations later.
They'd have to be very long-lived bats otherwise.
I'm glad that somehow they had knowledge of this place passed down to them.
Just like the people.
Yes, just like them.
History, generations, family. It never really dawned on me how Juliet's built her entire life around these ideas. Hearing about her research for people was one thing, but it doesn't stop there. Even the bats have a legacy, and Juliet's been there for all of it. When I think about it that way, I feel like I can start to understand her reasons for wanting to leave, how much there is for her to miss. But also, her words give me an idea. I may struggle with saying things sometimes, but maybe we don't have to use words to have fun.
Hey, do you want to go somewhere?
I don't mind, but what did you have in mind?
I was thinking maybe we could go for a walk. Since we're not always awake at the same time like this, I wanted to spend some time with you.
Juliet blinks several times, something I've seen Aspen do when she's surprised, before settling into her usual calm warmth. rather.
I'd like that very much. But isn't it late for you?
It's fine. I'm not that tired. Besides, you're always staying up to talk with me, so it's only fair.
I see. I certainly can't say no to that. Give me just a moment to get ready, and I'll meet you outside.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen Juliet wear anything different other than her, like, white vampire clothes. Aspen's had a few sort of, like, art variations with clothing. Like, obviously her uniform at work and all that. Miho's sometimes got her jacket and sometimes not, and, like, her other clothing as well. But Juliet's always wearing that, isn't she? I go downstairs to wait, leaning against the front porch. I may not be able to show her the places I want to, but I can show her one of my favorite things instead. Juliet joins me after a minute, and I lead us off.
It's been a while since we've gone on a walk like this, hasn't it?
Yeah. When we delivered some papers, right? I just started staying at the library last time.
And now here you are, leading the way. Are we going to Mount Victoria by chance?
Yup. Is that okay?
Of course. It's been quite some time since I've been there either.
Imagine it being really dark at this time of night as well.
Was the last time when you came to my den?
Indeed it was. You've gone back a few times though, correct?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite spots.
I leave out the part about going back to my den in particular, since it involves Silver.
Actually, there were these kids who came into the library today. One of them asked me some questions like what my favorite place in Wellington is. They're doing a school project, so they'll probably come back again.
That's lovely. You've become a Wellington expert.
I don't know about that. I told them you and Aspen would probably be more helpful. They came all the way from another country.
Oh, how nice. I'd be happy to assist if they do return.
Cool! I'm sure they'd like that.
Streetlights illuminate the way for us, although neither of us would really have trouble seeing in the dark. We don't see any other pedestrians, and the cars that pass by are few and far between. We reach the mountain, and I guide us off the trail and into the brush, though I take a different direction than usual. I'm not looking for Silver this time, although I wouldn't be surprised if she's observing silently close by. After a little bit of walking, I find an area that fits what I was hoping for, open and away from the path. When I stop, Juliet looks around, understandably confused.
What is this place?
Just an open area. I've never been here before. Seeing the bats in your office gave me an idea, though.
And what might that be?
I just want to go for a walk, like I said. Except not in these forms, but our other ones.
Ooh.
I know we just came all the way here, but you said you don't spend much time as a bat, right? I haven't been spending a whole lot of time as a fox lately either, but it's something I like to do. So, maybe...
I trail off, a little nervous. Maybe I should have told Juliet my idea before making her come all the way out here, in case she doesn't want to. To my relief, though, her face lights up the night.
I'd love to.
Okay, cool.
I can't help but grin in response. Then I close my eyes, focusing on my bead and tapping into my magic. When I transformed a couple nights ago to track Silver, it felt a little stiff and unfamiliar, as it was my first time doing it in a while. Now it feels natural again. I open my fox eyes and spread my tails, looking up at Juliet, who hasn't changed yet. She regards me curiously. Now that I think about it, she's never seen me like this before. Whatever she might be thinking, though, she keeps to herself. Instead, she closes her eyes like I did and lifts her arms to her sides. Her limbs shrink like mine before expanding back into the shape of wings as she becomes a bat. She gives them a few shaky flaps, fighting to keep herself in the air. Hey there, Tiberius. How you going? It takes a few more flaps, but she gets the hang of it quickly, coasting in a circle over my head at an even pace. Once I'm sure she's ready, I turn tail and start to run. The cool night breeze rushes across my fur. Beneath my feet, the earth is soft and damp and perfect for running on. Yep, no worries. Thank you very much for the lurk. Enjoy your Minecraft. I turn my head to the side, get a glimpse of Juliet. Her eyes are focused straight ahead, and she glides through the air like a knife through butter. She follows me effortlessly as I run up and down hills and through a field. Being able to let loose and just run like this is something I've missed doing. I push myself to go even faster, challenging Juliet to keep up. With a few powerful wing strokes, she manages to stay above me, close enough that I can feel the gust of air with each flap. For someone who hasn't done this in a while, she seems to be in pretty good shape. Since I don't have any particular destination in mind, I just lead us wherever seems greenest and most open. Above us, the stars twinkle merrily while they watch. Suddenly, from the trees in the direction we came from, there's the sound of more wings flapping. Juliet and I both turn, see a small flock of other bats coming to join us. They do! Got a little smile on the bat as well. Smile on the fox. It is lovely. Even the moon is smiling. Unlike her, I'm pretty sure that these are just regular bats. But they dash and dart around us, following along like they were supposed to meet us here. There's alternate art for this scene in the gallery. Alright. I'll try and remember to have a peek at that after we wrap up the stream for the day. I can't tell what Juliet's thinking, but I hope she's having as much fun as they are and as I am. At the very least, it's something new for her. That has to count for something. I've run and run until I've just about worn myself out. As my pace slows down, so does Juliet, until I'm only moving at a slow trot. Juliet has to flap her wings more to stay close, turning circles like the other bats accompanying us. Finally, once I reach a flat, grassy area, I come to a halt, transform back into a person, and flop down on my back, looking up at the sky and Juliet.
Alright, I'm beat!
Juliet comes close to the ground and then changes forms herself. The bats who are with us squeak and disperse, fluttering off in all different directions. I wave goodbye to them while Juliet watches them go. Then she takes a seat on the ground beside me.
My, I haven't had a workout like that in years.
She fans herself with one hand. It's the first time I've ever seen her look worn out.
It's been a bit for me too. You did pretty good though. I was afraid I might leave you behind by accident.
I certainly had to push myself at times. I'm impressed by you as well. It's much more strenuous to run that far compared to flying.
Hey there, Ada. How you going? I suppose there aren't any thermals at night, so it might be hard to sort of like rely on the air to stay aloft compared to during the day. I suppose she's also carrying less weight than Miho is as a fox too, as a bat. So
Nah, I'm pretty used to it. Didn't think we'd have company though.
Nor did I. It was nice to have them join us.
wiping the sweat from her brow, Juliet gazes up at the stars, looking content.
Thank you, Miho. That was quite nice.
Glad you had fun. Wasn't sure if you would or not.
It's not the kind of thing I'd have ever done by myself, I'll admit. But I'm glad you brought me out here.
Hearing Juliet's words, and more importantly, being able to see on her face how much she means them, makes me feel good, even without many words between us. Rolling over onto my belly, push myself up and stand.
You must be worn out. Shall we head back to the library?
Yeah, I'm ready if you are. I'll sleep good tonight, that's for sure.
Juliet laughs.
I'll start breakfast a little later in the morning then.
I reach out a hand to help her get to her feet. At first, Juliet just stares like she's not sure what she's supposed to do. But then she grabs it, and I pull her up.
Wanna do this again sometime? We don't have to transform, but I wanna see your favorite places too.
I would love to. Yes, it's a promise.
Looking up at her, her honest, gentle smile illuminated by the moonlight. I want her to stay. I have to give her a good reason to stay. Alright. We've got our fishing friend over here. As evening rolls around, I walk down to the waterfront for a special treat. Both days so far that I've checked in with Mr. Kim, he's been enjoying some kind of delicious-looking meal that his wife prepared. When I mentioned how I often miss Korean food, he promised to treat me to dinner tonight. Most of the times that I've gone to the fishing spot, it was with food on my mind. I wouldn't have expected this to be the first meal I actually get out of it. The pier is mostly empty when I get there, aside from Mr. Kim himself. He waves merrily as I approach.
Oh, Miho! 안녕!
Annyeong! Being greeted in Korean surprises me, and it takes me a second to respond properly.
안녕하세요.
I'm more than a little rusty when it comes to speaking Korean, but I think I managed to sound okay. Still, using the common language is a lot easier at this point.
Glad you could join me. I've brought us a feast.
What have we got? Sure enough, he has a few bags full of plastic containers sitting by his chair.
Ooh, thanks. I've been looking forward to this for hours.
Me too. There's nothing like a home-cooked meal to wrap up the day. Go ahead and have a seat.
He gestures to another chair, as well as a small folding table with a cloth draped over it.
Don't mind if I do.
Mr. Kim hands me a plate and a small bowl, and then starts stacking the food on the table. I watch as he lifts box after box from the bags. I'm reminded a little bit of Juliet, back when I first got here. Although Mr. Kim accepted my explanation about magic pretty easily, it's still awfully generous of him to do all this for my sake. I'm definitely not complaining, though. I can see kimchi and rice, plus a couple other things that I don't recognize or don't remember the names of.
The song looks delicious. Thanks for bringing it.
I'll tell my wife. She's the one who did the cooking, and she says she hopes that it reminds you of home. When was the last time you visited Korea?
It's been a really long time. I don't even know how many years.
No family back there?
Nah, I don't have any. I didn't have any friends until I came to Wellington either.
Ah, of course. But you do now, at least. We may go at different speeds, but eventually we all end up where we're meant to be.
Yeah, I never tried that hard before either. Now that I have a phone and stuff, it's a lot easier.
Well, here's to new old friends then.
He pours two cups of cold barley tea and hands me one. Then he retrieves an even bigger thermos and carefully fills 2 bowls with its contents. Yes, that is correct, Tiberius. This is the Fox Yuri VN. Hope you sleep well, by the way. The aroma of chicken and garlic hits my nose the moment he takes off the lid. It's been years since I've had it, but I still recognize that smell immediately. Yep, thank you, I will.
Is that samgyetang?
It sure is. The nose knows, doesn't it?
She has the best rocket? As in, like, Yuri Gagarin?
I don't know when the last time I had this was.
Let's have a drink. Nice. I do enjoy space race sort of stuff. Nice joke there. A little bit off kilter, as in, like, I wouldn't have sort of, like, expected it, but I definitely appreciate it. I'm glad I sort of managed to catch that one. The soup is made from boiling a chicken with ginseng, and there's sticky rice stuffed into the chicken. The last time I was in Korea, it was a special occasion whenever I was able to enjoy a bowl. It was a lot harder to steal compared to solid foods, so the only times I could have it were when I actually spent money to buy some. Modern day Korea is very different from the Korea that I come from, but I still have some good memories from my time there. Finally, after pouring the soup, Mr. Kim hands me a spoon and a pair of chopsticks.
Let's dig in.
I have to carefully arrange all my dishes on the table and on my lap to make everything fit. He pops the tops of the various sides and serves me a bit of each. It's been a long time since I've used chopsticks either, but my hands remember how to hold them. All the food tastes even better than it looks, and it looks pretty good to begin with. And the spicy tang of the kimchi, the rich broth of the soup, everything is amazing. The barley tea is the perfect addition to wash everything down.
Go ahead and eat up. I can always have more at home.
He leaves most of the food for me, only nibbling on a few things. When all the containers are finally empty, I dig my chopsticks around to scrape up the last few bits and pieces.
That was so good. Thanks again.
Of course, of course. It's always a pleasure to share dinner with a friend.
Do you ever eat the fish that you catch?
Sometimes. Or sometimes I'll go purchase some from the market. Next time, I'll have to bring you some meontang.
Yes, please.
Mr. Kim chuckles and slaps his knees and stands up.
Well, it's about time for me to be heading home. Thanks for the company.
Thanks for the meal.
I help Mr. Kim bag up all the empty containers. He loads those into a basket on a bicycle, and then, with one last wave, sets off on his ride. For a little bit longer, I stay on the pier and admire the sea. enjoying how pleasantly full I am. Then I start walking home as well. How relaxing. When evening rolls around again, I drift to Juliet's study once again. The door is open, and I can see her sitting at a desk inside.
Knock knock.
Come in.
No, you're supposed to say who's there. I take the seat across from her. I've started to think of it as my seat.
How was your day today?
It was fine. Not too much happened. Do you want to hang out again?
Come to have me make good on my promise already.
Only if you want to. It's fine if you're busy.
I'm never too busy to spend time with you.
Yay.
Great! Remember, it's your turn to pick where we go this time.
Right. Give me just a moment to prepare, and then we'll be off.
Well, we went to a cemetery last time, so how do you feel about Spooky Mansion? We come to a stop near the ocean, just the two of us. Lights from the city shine behind us, and out on the water, a handful of others littered from faraway ships. The tide comes in and out. We stand just outside its reach. Everything is quiet, aside from the soft splashing of the water lapping at our feet. The crisp night air carries a trace of salt. Side by side, Juliet and I both gaze out at the open sea.
It's beautiful.
Juliet nods. During the day, this beach is full of people laughing and playing or relaxing in the sun. This lake, however, there are only a few others around, barely more than shadows against the sea.
So this is your favorite place?
Keeping her eyes fixed on the distant horizon, Juliet hesitates before answering.
One of them, yes. I'm not sure that I could choose one above all others. I've always loved the ocean, though. I find it calming and serene. Did you know that there are no oceans in the underworld?
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Are there magma oceans?
It's true. There are lakes and rivers, but nothing like the sea. I never even witnessed it as a human. When I heard stories, I thought that surely they were exaggerated. Imagine my surprise when I saw it for myself.
Whoa.
I think back to the first time I saw the sea, when I followed Zhang Yin's trail all the way to its end.
I didn't even know it existed until I saw one. And when I did, I thought it was just a really big lake.
You must have been just as surprised as I was.
Mm-hmm. I got on the boat and it took me to China. Not that I knew that. I didn't even know what Korea was, or that I'd left it.
I'm sure it didn't take you long, though. You learned very fast.
Only sometimes. There's some stuff that I learned really slowly.
As do we all. As do we all.
The second time she says it, her voice is softer, almost as if she didn't mean to speak aloud. We stand together in silence again for a couple minutes.
I used to come here all the time. Just to stand and watch the waves. They're calming, I think.
Yeah. It makes me feel really small. Since no matter what, the ocean stays the same, you know? It doesn't care about us, or about our lives. It just is.
Juliet nods.
Precisely. I couldn't have said it better.
Did you come here by yourself?
Sometimes. Not always. Cosette loved the ocean too, of course. When she was young, she used to say that she wanted to be the captain of a ship and sail all around the world and see all there was to see.
Did she ever do it?
No. The first time she set foot on a boat, she got terribly seasick and never boarded one again.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Similar situation. Not precisely the same.
We go to the beach often, though. This one or others. Even if she couldn't live that dream of hers, she never stopped loving the idea. After she passed away, I would return here on my own nearly every night. Sleep was impossible, but I could gain some measure of peace and rest just by watching the tide. Its constant, reliable motion was something I could hold on to. It ebbs and flows, just like life itself.
I glance up at Juliet, half expecting to see tears in her eyes, but there aren't any. The voice is strong and stable, too, not trembling like she's going to cry. She looks down, meeting my gaze, and smiles. For a long moment, neither of us look away. It's like that moment in the library when I felt that we were seeing each other for the first time. As we look into each other's eyes, I feel my heart start to beat faster. Even after she peers back out at the water, I feel electrified. Something begins to swirl inside me and take a shape that I'm starting to understand.
I spent so long in misery and grief that I began to forget it was possible to exist without them. Everything was a painful reminder of what I'd lost, and days that would never come again.
Hey there, Sherma. How you going? I wouldn't call this a particularly spicy visual novel, admittedly, which I am absolutely fine with. I don't need spice. Like romantic spice, I guess. Not that I don't appreciate it sometimes, but like I suppose I'm more sort of like action and story oriented rather than like romantically oriented.
And yet, I find that the ocean is still beautiful. Even now, it's more beautiful when beside someone special. Impossibly, unchangingly so.
And obviously character interaction, of which romance is certainly sometimes a part.
As you said, in the face of such vastness, our petty little lives feel so tiny and insignificant. Years of pain that may feel eternal are really only drops in such a big, big bucket. I think that's what helped me to find some measure of solace and strength to go on.
I'm glad you did.
Me too.
Up in the sky, the blinking lights of a satellite or an airship are another reminder of how life goes on around us. They look just like the stars. Standing here next to Juliet, I feel the same kind of quiet warmth that I did last night after our run together. Something from inside myself that feels good and strong and right. Trials and pains that we've been through are very different in nature, but I'm glad that they brought us to the same spot. Beside me, Juliet takes a couple steps forward, a smile back on her face.
Would you care to walk a little?
Sure.
We move slowly, following the shoreline, close enough together that I keep bumping into her, and makes it hard to walk straight. Juliet doesn't seem to mind though, and for some reason, every time it happens, I feel a little spark of excitement inside. The tide sloshes in a little bit higher, enough to sweep against our shoes, but we keep going. Shells and seaweed decorate the beach, and I take care not to step on anything that might break. We walk until we reach the far end of the beach, where a few stacked boulders and a pathway lead back into town. The boulders are worn down by the waves that sometimes reach here, and the grass path stops abruptly just before it. I notice something in the dark though. A little green sprout peeking up from the ground beyond where the rest of the plants dare grow. Juliet and I stop walking, but my heart continues to pound with a dull thud as that swirling something, that electrified feeling, makes me realize what it is. Not just realize, but admit to myself. The name of that spark, that feeling. The reason it feels good to stand next to her, to bump into her, to make her smile.
Hey, Juliet?
Somehow, I don't feel nervous. Not like Aspen was. Because now that I understand, saying this to Juliet just feels right. Just a step or two ahead of me, Juliet turns around to face me. The moon shines down like a spotlight, illuminating her in the darkness. Her expression is unreadable, and I wonder if she knows.
I think I'm in love with you.
Ah. A small wave crests, smashing against the shore. It flashes my legs, but I don't mind. I barely notice. I consider saying more about how I remember her words that day when Aspen told me her own feelings, or about how I feel when I'm with her. For once, there's a lot I could say, but I choose not to. I've said all that I need. With Juliet, so much has always been unspoken. I'm confident she can understand me now. Right now, her eyes go wide, but otherwise, she remains unchanged. I wait. Now that I've said that, I don't know what I hope she'll say. Thinking about myself as the kind of person who could be in love still feels weird, but also feels true. Whatever else that might include, and whatever Juliet might feel about me, that's a whole other issue. So is everything else between us, like whether or not she'll be leaving. No matter if she stays or goes, no matter if she feels the same way I do, none of that's important right now. Right now, I'm just glad to be able to put a name to these feelings. Finally, Juliet takes a step forward and places a hand on my shoulder. She's touched me lots of times before, but this time, I'm hyper-aware of her presence.
Thank you for telling me, Miho. I must confess that I don't know what to say. My thoughts are all aflutter right now.
It's okay. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know.
But you deserve a response. I simply don't know how to give it at the moment.
That's alright,
Would it be okay if we talked about this more tomorrow?
as long as you don't get stuck on a bus.
I just...
For the first time ever, Juliet seems truly at a loss for words. At Cassette's grave, or when I yelled at her afterwards, or any other time something has happened, she's always managed to regain her composure. But now, she seems lost. Honestly, I think I prefer it that way. I reach up and place my hand on hers.
Yeah. That's fine. Really.
Thank you.
Juliet's hand lingers on my shoulder a moment longer before sliding up from beneath mine, and I miss it as soon as it's gone.
Wanna go back to the library?
She nods, seemingly relieved. We climb the small slope up to the road and begin walking back together, side by side like before. I keep my gaze firmly fixed ahead of me, and I'm pretty sure she does too. Both of us keep our thoughts to ourselves. My heart turns somersaults as we go, filling me with nervous energy without an outlet. Now that I've said them, enormity, my words, and just what they mean for me, has begun to sink in. Juliet's kindness and compassion, the memories we've already made together, and the way she understands me, in a way that only another fabled can. All those things have been pointing in this direction for some time. It's just that I only now figured out where that road was leading. We get back to the library, and wordlessly hug each other before going our separate ways. In my bed, I lie awake, and stare at the ceiling.
I'm in love.
I know what I sound like when I'm lying, and it's not how I sound now. My feelings are real and true, and now they're out there. Tomorrow feels so far away, and yet I don't know what I'm waiting for. What would it mean if Juliet loves me too? What would it mean if she doesn't? I'm still figuring out what it means for me to be in love myself. I haven't gotten to the other parts yet. As I close my eyes, though, thinking about her hand beneath mine and the feeling of her arms around me, I can't help but think maybe I'm hoping for more than I can admit. Alright. So, we've seen here, so my paws carry me across wet leaves and mud. Fog has crept into the forest as stealthily as me. Glimpses of the sky are rare between the trees and the mist. The wild mountains and hills are hidden as well. Out of sight, but not mind. I run, filled by a sense of purpose. Lightens my steps and pulls me in the right direction. I'm going to see someone I care about very much, and cares about me. Somehow, we found each other. Person. The path to follow is engraved in my body and mind, almost instinctually. A warm smile, a gentle touch, a kind word. These are the things that draw me forward. I slow down as I get closer to my destination, and to the silhouette waiting for me. It's impossibly bright as I approach, my heart pounding in anticipation, like the sun has descended to treat my person too. Matches the feeling in my chest, warming my soul and fur. So bright that when my person turns around, stooping low to greet me, light is all I can see. But I don't need to see, only hear. That voice that I could never forget.
Little fox, where is your home?
I open my eyes to my darkened bedroom. My nap must have lasted a couple hours, longer than I expected it to. The moon and stars are already out. I barely remember what I did with the rest of my day before I took my nap. Breakfast with Juliet was quiet, and we didn't talk about last night. I'm sure she'll bring it up when she's ready. After a quick check-in with Aspen on the phone, I went through work like a zombie, mindlessly making my way through my tasks. After closing up, I planned to just catch a quick snooze, but the late nights and exercise I've been getting finally caught up to me. The last few seconds of my dream replay in my mind while I lie in my bed, facing the wall. That touch, voice. I can't say for sure whose they were. As I come to my senses, I start to notice something out of the ordinary. A sound drifting up from downstairs. Music. Rolling out of bed, I go and crack my door open. Sure enough, the sounds of a violin and piano waft their way up from the library. There's another sound too. Juliet talking to someone. The words are muffled by the distance and the music, but I can tell from the soft tones that it's her. I wonder if the other vampire, Ezekiel, is here. I don't hear a second voice though. I draw in a shaky breath to prepare myself, and then head downstairs. The music gets louder as I approach the main room, until I finally discover its source. Juliet set up an old record player on one of the library tables. A small stack of dusty records sits next to it, the sleeves all frayed around the edges. As I round the corner, the soft murmur of Juliet's words becomes coherent, and I pause for a moment to listen, still out of sight.
Both of them. You and Aspen would make great friends, I'm sure. The two of you have always been such dreamers, born for worlds greater than our own. She's at the start of her own new adventure. I can't wait to see where it takes her. Whatever it takes to make those dreams come true, I know she'll find it within herself.
I start to tiptoe around the corner, curious to see who it is Juliet's speaking with. It's probably talking to the painting, right?
And as for Miho,
I freeze again, halfway there.
there's simply too much to say about her. I wouldn't even know where to begin. But there is one thing that I'm quite certain of.
I step around the wall to find Juliet at the other side of the room with her back to me. She stands near Cosette's portrait, one hand on the frame, the same as she placed it on my shoulder last night.
I'm sure you would have loved her too.
She's got her coat off. Both of us remain motionless, locked in place. Did I hear her right? Did I understand her right? A few seconds later, the song that was playing comes to an end. The sound from the record player becomes soft static as the needle scratches the empty center. It breaks the spell that bound us. Juliet turns around slowly, gracefully. Her elegance feels like such a contrast to the way that I stand there awkwardly, processing what I heard. She acknowledges me with a smile, but walks past me and goes to the record player. She gently lifts the needle and turns the record over, and then lowers it again. Oh, Misaki! Hello! Thank you very much for the raid! Were you playing some... Yes, you were playing some Nikke. I happened to catch that you were streaming at this time. A little bit earlier than normal, I noticed. yeah, this is a fun game so far. What we're playing right now is a visual novel called Please Be Happy. It's an original English language visual novel where we play as Miho, who is a Gumiho from Korea, and she's integrating into the human world essentially after having sort of like lived a very lonely existence on her own, just sort of like subsisting, trying to get by. And she's finally made some friends, and possibly maybe some romance as well. It's very lovely so far. To those who don't know me, I am Araxis Dacia, your revolutionary bartender. And yeah, hello everyone. Thank you very much for the raid. I do appreciate it. How did your stream go, by the way, Misaki? Did you have to do any rolls, or were we just grinding, going through the story? Hopefully it went well for you, though. I haven't played Nikke myself, but some of the art for that's pretty cool. Yeah, this lady over here, Juliet, she's a vampire. She's very nice. We're currently doing her route. We've already done the other route for the game. This time we're doing hers. Oh, and Fearless Yandere, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Fox Shrine. Hope you enjoy your stay. Now Juliet approaches me, one hand outstretched towards me.
Shall we dance?
Oh, really? We're gonna have an ad break like immediately like after a raid? That is incredibly rude, Twitch. Incredibly rude. You didn't even give me the option to skip it. Or like pause it or anything. That is really annoying. Hey there, Madronini. Hope you're doing all right as well. I might just stick around and like talk a little bit instead of going to like a full BRB screen or anything like that. Yeah, 2 foxes the price of 1. Exactly, Mimi. Exactly. Why have 1 fox when you can have 2? Unless it's like that phrase, like better a fox in the hand instead of a 2 in the bush. Let me have a quick old drink as well. But yeah. Yeah, this game is it's done by Studio Alarm, who has done several other visual novels. I think, like, which was their other one that was sort of like possibly a bit more well known? Like Highway Blossoms, I think. Yeah, I think Highway Blossoms was like their first game that they sort of did. And they've done like a few others, like Heart of the Woods, National Park Girls, First Snow. And I think they're doing like a Magical Girl sort of game in the future. I think they're sort of coming out with a demo for that. Which is going to be interesting, I'm sure, because I think it's starring sort of like older Magical Girls, like after they've sort of like retired a little bit and like gone on to their own lives, and then it's like come back for it. So I am intrigued, that's for sure. Can't remember what the name of it was though. I don't know, maybe someone in chat happens to know what it is. That's not that one. I think Lock and Key. Is it? Is it Lock and Key? Yeah, Lock and Key. That's the one. Lock and Key, a Magical Girl Mystery. Starring a married couple of former magical girls. Along with an old friend and new protege, undertake one last journey to free Chicago from the terrifying grip of a mysterious serial killer. I think that sounds rather intriguing. Alright, anyway. We are back from our ads, so I shall resume the actual game after having a little bit of a chat with everyone.
I don't know how.
She'll teach you, don't worry. Even as I say that, I reach out for her as well, placing my hand in hers.
That's okay. It's quite simple. I'll show you.
Juliet gently pulls me forward, and I reach her in just a few steps. She holds our linked hands out to the side and wraps her other arm around me. I just kind of stand there, letting her guide me. My heart feels like it's going to leap out of my chest, but I keep myself calm, focused on emotions instead. We sway from side to side in time with the music, just turning a small circle in place. It's harder than I expect, and I stumble more than once as I try to mimic what she's doing. I've never been this close to Juliet for so long before, or to any other person. We start to move more, as Juliet takes tiny steps around the room, and I do my best to keep up with her. I'm always half a beat late. Once I step on her foot by accident, and I'm the one who winces.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Takes it in stride, not missing a step. The song ends and another starts, and we keep going. Oh, and I forgot to mention, like part of the reason why our character Miho here was alone all this time is because, like, she's got a magical, like, blessing / curse, where everyone forgets her after a day, unless they like maintain like contact. So she's just never had that opportunity to build connections with people before. Previously, she used to use that to like commit thefts and get away with it. So she got by that way. But now she's making a conscious effort to maintain contact with people and build up her relationships with them. It's rather beautiful and also sad at times. Little by little, I'm getting the hang of it, but I still feel clumsy and make mistakes. But I'm able to get into the flow, stepping in time with Juliet instead of just after. Just inches away from my face, Juliet looks into my eyes and I gulp nervously, but stare back, trying to focus on both her and my feet.
I've been thinking quite a lot about what you said yesterday.
Oh yeah?
My voice is barely a whisper, croak. Tell that I'm blushing furiously. Being with her like this, I have a feeling I already know what she's going to say. But that doesn't stop my heart from racing. It is a very, very adorable Shona. Juliet nods, her forehead almost bumping against mine.
And?
Leans in and kisses me. I guess that's an answer. The music builds to a crescendo as Juliet's lips find mine, and we both close our eyes. I surrender all thoughts and fears, aware of nothing but the feeling of our kiss and the gentle rhythm of our dance. Juliet's fingers curl tightly around my hand, and I squeeze back, not needing any words to communicate. With her other arm still around me, Juliet holds me close and tight, and I wrap my free arm around her too. We rock and sway, and as I trust my body to do the thinking for me, I find it easier to move in time with her. The two of us dance around the library as I let her lead and I follow, feeling warm and alive and complete. Even when we end our kiss, we stay like this, close together, with hands linked tightly. The blush of her face is still there, but I think it looks good on her. I rest my head on Juliet's shoulder, she tilts hers against mine.
And I love you too.
I think you made that fairly obvious, but I appreciate hearing it all the same. As if she even needed to say it. I do like some of the narration and dialogue from the protagonist, how it matches my own thoughts sometimes. Juliet and I talk and dance and kiss into the night, till sleepiness manages to overwhelm my excitement and I have to go to bed. Even as my head hits the pillow, I am looking forward to waking up tomorrow and seeing Juliet again. When I do open my eyes a few hours later, that feeling of elation hasn't left me. It gets me to bounce out of bed and get ready in a hurry. I stare at my own reflection in the mirror as I brush my teeth and wash my face. I don't look any different than usual, of course, but I half expected to. My lips tingle with the memory of Juliet's against mine and the tender look on her face. A look meant just for me. As I finish washing up, I hurry downstairs to breakfast. Taking the stairs 2 at a time, I practically slide into the kitchen.
Good morning, Aspen!
It's not just Juliet sitting at the table, but Aspen too. She's the other main lead in this game. We've already done her route, and we're doing Juliet's now. Normally, the 3 characters have breakfast together in the library.
Good morning, Miho, to you.
Hello, Miho.
Although Juliet's greeting is pretty typical, there's a new warmth in her voice that makes me blush.
Morning! I thought you weren't going to be coming to breakfast anymore, Aspen.
I said I wouldn't be here as frequently, not that I wouldn't be here at all.
There's a difference.
Besides, it's a special occasion. It's not every day that your 2 best friends start dating.
You already know?
It hasn't even been a full day. It hasn't been more than a few hours.
I hope you don't mind. I spoke with Aspen yesterday, in fact.
Juliet, loose lips.
Nah, I don't. She'd figure it out pretty fast anyway.
Actually, I was hoping I could talk with you as well, Miho. If that's alright.
Hopefully this isn't awkward. To those who are new with the raid, what happened previously, as part of the route split, Aspen actually confesses her love for us. And in order to get onto the Juliet route, you have to reject her. But due to circumstances, that also leads to Aspen losing all of her memories of us. So that's like, she knows that she's lost her memories of us. But yeah, I'm curious if this will make things awkward.
Oh, sure. What is it?
Mind if we go outside?
I glance at Juliet, who's standing up from the table. She gives us a friendly wave towards the door.
Go on. I haven't started cooking yet, so it'll be a little while before breakfast is ready.
Okay.
I get up and head out the front door, with Aspen close behind me. The 2 of us stand beside each other on the porch, the early morning sun just starting to shine over the hills. Late nights and early mornings. I've had plenty of both, but that's okay. I have things worth staying up for, and things worth waking up early for. Next to me, Aspen fidgets with her hair and hat, while I wait for her to find her words. I seem to be doing that a lot lately too. I have an idea what the topic might be, but not what she wants to say about it. This is the first time we've been alone together since she went home.
So, Miho, you probably remember, even if I don't, that I, said some things to you last time we saw each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how could I forget? I swallowed a lump in my throat, trying to just listen to Aspen without getting ahead of myself. Yeah, we didn't quite get to say no. Our intention was to say no, but we never got the chance to actually reject Aspen.
Although the actual memory, well, memories are a blur to me. I wrote a lot of my feelings down in my journal over the past couple months, including that evening after I left.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's weird, I have to say, to see all that written in my own handwriting, but not to connect to it or feel it anymore. But I can tell how much I treasured the time I spent with you. I hope that doesn't sound rude. I know you were and are a very, very important person in my life. And I'm very grateful for all the time we've spent together, both before and after that. You're still, or again, a dear friend of mine.
I'm a fox friend of yours.
Yesterday, Juliet told me about the two of you. She wanted to make sure I was okay with it before giving you an answer. I swear, she's selfless to a fault sometimes.
She really is.
Anyway, I told her that of course I don't mind. I'm perfectly happy with us remaining as just friends, and I couldn't be more excited for you. Both of you deserve all the joy in the world. I'd been trying to figure out how to talk to you about everything, and what I even wanted to say, so it was relief to have this reason to say it. I'm sorry for putting it off for so long.
It's okay. I wasn't sure how to bring it up either. I'm really glad though. I like being your friend and I don't want that to change, even if we had to start over.
I hold out my arms, and Aspen comes forward to give me a hug. It's different from hugging Juliet, of course, but still nice. I am also relieved to hear how Aspen feels and that she won't be hurt by seeing Juliet and me together. It's still painful to have lost all that time we shared, but at least we're both eager to rebuild it. Aspen pats me on the back before she steps away.
Well, I certainly feel much better after saying all that. Come on, let's go join Juliet again.
Right behind ya.
Back inside, there's the sizzling sound coming from the kitchen, as well as the delicious smell of cooking meat. Aspen and I enter to find Juliet frying bacon, as well as preparing the usual dishes.
That smells so good!
It should be ready before too much longer. Go ahead and sit down, and I'll bring it to you soon.
Okay.
We hardly ever have meat, so this is a rare treat. I used to have it a lot more before moving into the library, even if I had to scrounge for it. Aspen and I take our places at the table, and soon Juliet brings all the food she prepared and sets it down. While Aspen and I both load up our plates and dig in, Juliet just nibbles on some bread and sips her tea contentedly.
You know, it's not fair that you always make us such good food, even though you can't taste it.
I don't mind. I'm perfectly satisfied seeing the two of you enjoy it.
Yeah, but you worked so hard. I guess there's no way around it though, huh?
Can you taste my blood? Like, would that be a nice meal for you?
Oh, right. You mentioned that to me as well not long ago. So is all food the same to you?
I can still taste things, but just barely. And I can appreciate the textures of different dishes too. But yes, for the most part, it's like an afterthought of flavor.
So, like drinking a flavored, sparkling water, then?
I've grown accustomed to it over the years, to the point where I can't even remember what things used to taste like. Perhaps that's a blessing in disguise.
You make short work of everything Juliet cooked, not even leaving behind a crust of bread. After helping us clean up, Aspen departs for the Bell House, and Juliet and I are left alone at the kitchen table. I'm glad that we've gotten more comfortable with silence, because I'm not totally sure what I should be saying or doing now. As different as things may be, we're still the same people. Even though I want to talk with and be with Juliet more, I haven't magically become more eloquent. It'd be nice if my magic did work like that, though. The best thing to do would probably be to just tell Juliet what I'm thinking. After all, it was being open about my feelings that got me to this point in the first place, so there's no reason to stop now.
Hey, so I have a question about something Aspen said. She said that you and I are dating now. Is that true? I guess what I mean is, I love you, and you said you love me too, so... now what? I know what dating is, but not how to do it, if that makes sense. You probably already know that, though. I just want to make sure I don't do anything wrong.
Juliet stands, offering me her hand. I accept, of course, and stand up as well. She takes my other hand in hers and faces me, almost like we're dancing again.
There is no wrong way. Dating, lovers, partners, they're all just words. I'm happy to use any of them, if they feel right to you. What matters to me isn't what we call it, but what we feel. And I feel that being around you reminds me what it's like to exist, and to celebrate being alive, and to find joy in everyday moments. That every second we spend together is more special because you're with me. When I say that I love you, I mean that I love you, Miho. Not just who you could be or who we could be, but who you are now.
Don't fall in love with someone who you think they could be. Fall in love with the person they are now. That's probably some good advice right there.
So please don't feel that you have to change for me, or behave a certain way. Just being yourself is all that I could ask for.
My face feels so hot that we could fry a slice of bacon on it. I'm not embarrassed, but Juliet saying all those things about me, so wonderfully new and exciting, my body doesn't know how else to respond. I like hearing them though, and it helps put me at ease.
Okay, I can do that.
Still keeping my hand in hers, Juliet leans forward and kisses me, making my lips tingle again. I'm pretty sure I could get used to this. But can it last? That question permeates everything for me. For the past couple days, it feels like we've danced around tension. The unspoken question, is what we have, whatever words we use to describe it, enough to make Juliet want to stay here? I shouldn't expect one month to make up her mind, and I'm sure she'll tell me when she's ready. If the answer is no, though, if I do get used to this, and to being with Juliet, then will there ever be a time where I'm ready? Once again, I force those thoughts away. The nature of our relationship has changed, but my goals haven't. No matter what's coming in the future, I want to enjoy these moments with Juliet now, and hope that will be enough for her too. Alright. So let us go down. Go to the Bell House, sure. I didn't have enough spare cash in my pockets today, so I just order water and a plain bagel as an excuse to relax and enjoy the cafe's ambiance. Perhaps out of pity for my meager order, the cashier slips me a free packet of cream cheese too. An angel! As I'm people watching today's patrons, I notice a guy staring at his drink with an expression I can only describe as complicated. Like he's trying to solve some kind of riddle with each sniff he takes. Finally, divine inspiration seems to dawn on him, and he takes it to the counter. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, but did I forget to order this with oat milk instead of regular dairy milk? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yes, that's dairy milk. I can remake it for you right away. No, it's my mistake. I just feel bad that this will go to waste. I'm allergic, so if I drink this, well, I can't say what will happen to me. Perhaps he catches me staring, or maybe because my table is the closest one to the counter. But the guy turns to me and catches my eye. Do you want this drink, miss? I promise I didn't touch it directly. Huh? Oh, are you sure? It's just going to get thrown away otherwise. Oh, then. Yeah. Thanks. Free cream cheese and free coffee? Who needs money? You just got to sit around and look cute and good things will come your way. Score. Alright. Oh, he's good. This is apparently a new scene now. I guess we're going to introduce them to Juliet, perhaps? Alright. The first guests of the day are the school kids from last Friday. They enter one at a time, not struggling with the door this time. The girl I talked to before, Cello, comes over to the desk.
Good morning, Ms. Miho. Morning! How'd your project go? We're still working on it.
Some of us are. Some of us just want to wander around.
It's not wandering if you have a destination.
Around isn't a destination.
You remind me of Lena and Aspen. Cello sighs and rubs her face. She must have to put up with this a lot.
Well, that's why I wanted to come ask for Ms. Miho's advice again.
Right, because last time they made like a model of the Bell House. I guess we're not going to be doing that this time, huh?
Again?
Yeah, have you met her before?
What? She helped us just a couple days ago.
Pippa and Armand look at each other, puzzled. Even with her back to me, I can tell Cello is too. It takes a moment for me to realize what's happened. I've gotten so used to my friends remembering me that I didn't even think how weird it was for Cello to remember too. I'm sure that we haven't seen each other since the last time she was here, but she hasn't forgotten me. I can even begin to guess why. Yet, somehow, as strange as it is, just feels like another part of a bigger mystery instead of a life-changing event. Another question that I can't answer. I'd love to know why, but I could spend all day guessing and still not figure it out. I'm sure she wouldn't be able to tell me either. So, weird as it is, there's no use dwelling on it right now. They don't ever answer this question, do they? When Cello turns back towards me, confusion on her face, I just shrug and smile.
It's fine. It's just a thing that happens.
The young mermaid doesn't look totally convinced, but she nods all the same.
Alright, if you say so. Actually, if it's fine with you, I had another question to ask.
Ask away.
Last time, you told me about your favorite place. Are there any other spots in Wellington that you like?
Looks back at her friends, who are both distracted by some of the library decorations.
We're having trouble settling on a topic.
Before I can answer, Armand flaps his wings excitedly, blowing a couple nearby books open.
What if we did our project on this library?
There are libraries everywhere, even Amarina. What's so special about this one?
There are coffee shops in Amarina too, but you still wanted to go to one. Besides, just look around. This isn't a normal library. Right, Miss Miho?
That's true, I guess.
I haven't been to many other libraries, but I'm pretty sure they don't usually double as houses like this one does for Juliet and me.
Plus, we wouldn't have to walk around so much. What do you think, Cello?
I do like it here, but only if it's okay with you, Pippa. And with Miss Miho.
Pippa rolls her eyes, but shrugs.
Whatever, as long as we get it done.
All three of them turn to look at me, their expressions varying degrees of hopeful. How could I say no to that? I try to think of how Juliet would respond.
It's okay. As long as you don't bother anyone or break anything.
We won't!
You're already going to bother someone if you keep yelling like that.
You're in a library, you gotta be quiet.
Oops.
Hold on a second. Okay, so he's got wings, right? So what are the ears meant to be? Like they're like bird wings, but like birds don't have ears like that, do they? What's the mom supposed to be?
Thank you so much. We'll be extra super careful.
No prob.
The three of them set off to explore the library, browsing the shelves and peeking into some of the display cases. I keep working on my daily tasks, but keep one eye on the kids while I do. True to their word, though, they're mostly quiet and not too rowdy, so they don't cause any problems. Sometimes they sit down at one of the tables to write, and then get up to look around some more. We've been here for a little over an hour when Juliet comes downstairs and joins me at the front desk. I hop up out of my seat, pleasantly surprised.
Hey! I thought you were asleep. Not that I'm not glad to see you.
I should be, but I wasn't able to fall asleep. After tossing and turning for an hour, I thought I'd come and visit you instead. How's the library today?
Fine, same as always, pretty much. Those kids I told you about the other day are back. They asked if they could do their project on the library, and I said that was fine as long as they didn't cause any trouble.
I point to the table where the three students are sitting close together, talking quietly amongst themselves.
Oh, how lovely. I hope they're able to find what they're looking for here.
Me too. Something really weird happened too. Two of them, Armand and Pippa, forgot me like usual. But the mermaid Cello was able to remember my name from last time.
Really? That is quite strange. You haven't noticed or felt anything different?
Nope. I decided not to think about it too much. Otherwise, I'll just drive myself crazy.
A sound decision. Still, it's something worth keeping in mind.
Definitely want to do some research on that. Maybe ask Cello as well. I would ask, just in case. I nod. Just then, Aman and Cello both stand up and start heading over to the desk, while Pippa stays at the table.
Ms. Miho? Oh, and...
My name is Juliet. You must be Cello and Armand, right?
Does everyone here know our names? Don't tell me we forgot her too.
Oh, no, nothing like that. I simply heard from Miho.
Juliet's the one who owns the library. I think I mentioned her last time. Oh, that's perfect. You see, we wanted to ask...
He blushes, looking a little embarrassed. Aman steps forward bravely.
Do you think you could show us around? I can tell this isn't an ordinary library, but I want to know more about it.
Sorry to ask for such a big favor, especially since you're already letting us work here.
It would be my pleasure. Miho?
Yeah, I don't mind. Juliet's a real expert, though. Really? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Shh.
From across the library, Pippa loudly shushes Armand. This time he doesn't acknowledge her. At this point you're talking with, like, the owner of the library, so I think you can be a little bit loud, right?
Where should we begin?
Our project is supposed to be on a special place in Wellington, so whatever
We can begin with the books then. I've been collecting them for quite a while.
Accidentally fumbled
Our
that.
project is supposed to be on a special place in Wellington, so whatever makes this library special.
We can begin with the books then. I've been collecting them for quite a while.
The four of us head to the shelves, where Juliet points out a few older books.
These are several first-hand accounts of life here in New Zealand, or Wellington in particular. Some are written by the indigenous people, the Maori, while others are by people who came later. It's important to read history from a variety of sources, and I've done my best to offer just that.
That sounds like a normal library so far.
I love learning about the past. I can even tell you about the future too sometimes.
I quite agree. Every person from all walks of life have a perspective all their own. I've been privileged to learn so many of them.
What are these in the glass cases?
Gifts and treasures bequeathed to me over the years.
Hello, Judios. Salut. I don't speak French, unfortunately. God, I know like a few words here and there, like a je suis Araxis, I guess. Merci. But that's it. Hope you're doing alright, by the way.
I felt there's no sense in keeping them hidden away where only I can see them, so instead I leave them here for all to witness and enjoy.
I gaze into some of the displays as we pass them by. I've been at the library for so long that I've stopped really noticing some of its features, like the treasures that she mentioned. Statues, jewelry, dolls, there are all kinds of things that I'd forgotten about. Juliet recounts stories for some of them, about sailors and merchants who gave her things in exchange for food or shelter, or just for company. Both the kids and I listen with rapt attention, while Juliet gazes off into the distance as she remembers the past. We eventually reach the end of the shelves, where Armand notices Cosette's painting on the wall. He runs over to it, with Cello trailing behind.
Who's this?
My daughter, Cosette.
Oh, thank you very much, Ada, for getting right on that.
She is so pretty.
Juliet smiles thinly. I glance anxiously between her and the students, wondering if I should try to move us along, but Juliet clears her throat.
Cosette is actually the reason this library exists.
Really?
I look at Juliet in surprise. I don't think I've heard that one before.
Yes. She also loved to collect books, to the point where we could hardly fit them all on our shelves. She suggested that we allow others to borrow them too, in order to share the stories that we loved so much.
Oh, whoa. If I had enough books to open my own library, I'd never have to go anywhere again. I could just stay home and read all day.
What about the theater, or museums, or school?
I'd still go to places for fun sometimes, but who needs school when you've got so many books?
I mean, there's something to be said for, like focused instruction from a skilled teacher. Like, yes, you can read books and you can learn from them, absolutely, but everyone learns in different ways. And I don't think that you should underestimate the influence that a talented teacher can have in terms of improving education outcomes. They both laugh and we move on to the back part of the library, away from the shelves. Juliet shows them the kitchen and dining room, as well as what it's like behind the front desk. Eventually, we reach the bottom of the stairs.
What's up there? Can we go see?
That's where bedrooms are. And Juliet's office.
Oh. Can we go see?
Armand, that sounds like a private area.
There are some parts you can visit. I have a feeling you might enjoy seeing my study.
You just ask every woman if you can go see her bedroom.
Really? Let's go!
Oi! Quit it! Thank you! Oh, they're out in force today. Juliet leads the way, and we follow her into the study.
Whoa!
Yeah. Whoa. It's like a whole other library.
Just like I was, they're shocked by how many more books are crammed into here. Something rustles in the corner. Cello yelps with fear as she sees one of the bats hanging from the ceiling. It rubs its face with one wing, like we just woke it up, which we probably did.
What is... Ah!
It takes a moment for Armand to spot the bat as well.
Oops! I'm sorry, Orpheus. I should have seen if anyone was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. True that. Bat flaps its wings in what seems like an indignant way, glaring at Juliet.
Wait, it has a name?
The bats are Juliet's friends. They sleep in here a lot of the time. Oh, I'm sorry for yelling.
Despite that, Cello keeps a good distance from the corner where Orpheus is. That's a cute.
It's quite all right. I'm sure he'll be back to sleep in no time. This is my study, where I keep a variety of records and other books that are less interesting to most patrons.
By the way, the reason there's bats here is because I'm a vampire and I can turn into a bat. Okay, moving on.
However, I suspect you may find some of them useful for your project.
Armand and Cello browse around, although they both shoot nervous glances at the bat every so often. Orpheus closes his eyes and either goes back to sleep, or at least pretends to.
You're right. Some of these look really old.
And handmade.
You're both correct. Many of these volumes were handwritten, or not widely distributed.
So not many people have read them, right? Oh, that would be perfect for our project.
I am not sure these are available to borrow like the others, Armand.
Oh, right.
His wings and tail both droop down. I feel like I know what Juliet's going to say before she says it. I wonder if he's meant to be like a griffin or something. Like wings and like lion ears, perhaps? I don't know.
Generally not. But if you promise to be very careful, I wouldn't mind letting you take a few with you. So long as you return them when you're done.
Really? Oh, we can definitely do that, right, Cello?
Yes! As long as it's really okay.
If anything happens to them, though, I'm gonna send in the bats.
It really is.
Thank you so much!
The two of them look around with even more enthusiasm, to the point where they can get a bit closer to Orpheus. Not too close, though. Hey, Infernal, how you going? I think the kids will take good care of it. They're good kids. I think it'll be all right. Juliet and I lean against the wall and watch.
Is this the first time you've let people borrow the books from in here?
The first time in a while, at least. I don't see a reason to deny them, though. It's nice to see how excited they are by the prospect.
That's true.
After a few minutes, Armand and Cello approach us with a small stack of books each.
Are these okay for us to take?
Juliet glances over them all before she nods.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks again!
Come on, let's go show Pippa. Even she'll have to be impressed by these.
Waving goodbye to us, the kids hurry off downstairs, being careful not to drop or damage the books that they're carrying. Juliet and I stay behind, near the hallway to Juliet's room. How to Raise the Dead, Advanced Alchemy for Beginners, Thaumaturgy 101, Evocation for Dummies. Just a few interesting things there, right? Death magic for adepts. Now let's be careful, all right? Let's not unleash a new wave of sorcerers, wizards, and warlocks upon the world without being responsible about it.
That was fun. I learned a lot too.
I'm glad. It was nice to have a reason to indulge in those memories for a while.
You never told me you started the library because of Cosette.
I didn't? My. I suppose it never came up.
I don't normally have Mito zoomed out enough to see her tail. I lean against Juliet, and she wraps her arm around me. I should get back to work soon, and I know Juliet still needs to sleep. But I'm glad to have this extra moment together. There's plenty I still don't know about Juliet, but I'm looking forward to learning it. Alright. So let's go to the gardens. No, that was one that I've seen before, unfortunately. Well, after Juliet and I say our goodbyes for the night, I go up into my room to go to bed. But after tossing and turning for a while, I get up and put my shoes back on. Aside from Juliet, there's someone else I've been thinking about a lot lately. My last encounter with Silver didn't go so well, but it hasn't made me any less determined to talk to her. It's not just because of my magic, and what she might be able to tell me about it. It's because I also want to help her. I know that I can't tell her that outright, but every passing day that I spend with Juliet or with Aspen makes me more confident in my decision to stay around Wellington. I don't expect things to go exactly the same way for Silver as they did for me. I hope that maybe someday she'll want to change too. Alright, so yeah, that's our dialogue there. Now, I'm going to quickly ask chat. Last time we did keep going here for the Silver dialogue, and that seemed to go well, ultimately. Do we want to stick with that? Or do we want to see if things change by us going leave it there and see how they change? So what do you think, chat? Should we keep going for being like relatively confident that things will go well for Silver, or do we want to see some different dialogue here? I'll quickly... Is it the same event? I'm not sure. Like, the previous stuff over here was the same event here. Otherwise, it wouldn't have let me skip forward like right here. I was just having a little bit of alteration for Juliet there. So, I'm not sure. We might go with... leave it there then, in case, to see how things change. Get some variety. I'll go and fill up my drink though, while in case people want to quickly put in their 2 cents. So give me a moment. All right. So, I'm not seeing anyone who wants to sort of like stick with it. So, we'll see what happens with Leave It There. All right, leave it there. I want to tell Silver that maybe someday she could feel that way too, but I hold myself back. I've said enough for tonight. Silver also stays quiet for a moment. He's probably trying to think of another way to call me a dog.
Of course. Any dog considers itself blessed to have a master.
Even then, her words don't have the usual venom. Seems like I gave her something to think about, if nothing else. From the way she fidgets, I can tell we're getting near the point where Silver is going... have much of a difference there, admittedly, it seems. Maybe it'll affect things in the long run or something. I don't know. So, we'll go to the waterfront. It's been almost a week since the last time I went to the waterfront, so I decided to head down and visit Mr. Kim. It's been even longer since I've actually done any fishing, so this might be a good time to change that. When I get to the waterfront, there are plenty of other people there fishing, unlike the last couple of times. However, it doesn't look like Mr. Kim is one of them. His assistant, Young Min, is there helping out like always, but Mr. Kim himself is nowhere to be seen. When I go ask Young Min, he tells me that Mr. Kim went to the marketplace, but that he should have been back by now. I volunteer to go see if I can track him down. I've only ever seen the market from a distance, but up close, it's a lot more lively than I gave it credit for. The noisy fishermen that I always hear from far away laugh and shout with each other, displaying their catches on beds of ice. There are other vendors and stalls selling snacks and drinks, as well as things like jewelry and souvenirs. I walk around, searching for Mr. Kim, and finally find him near the edge of the pier. He's looking intently at a number of fishing poles for sale, his hand stroking his chin.
Hello, mijo! Fancy seeing you here.
Youngmin told me where you were. I was surprised you weren't at the fishing spot.
Oopsie, I might be taking a little longer than I said I would, but I just can't decide.
I go over and inspect the fishing poles too. Most of them are fancier than the ones I've used, with extra pieces and parts. I don't really know what any of them do though.
Are you getting a new rod?
If I can settle on one, yes. I've narrowed it down to this one.
He points at one of the complicated, fancy-looking poles.
And this one.
The other option is a simpler, sleeker design.
What's the difference?
The first one here has everything you could ever want. It's made for comfort and for power. The other one I'm looking at is more basic, as you can see.
That sounds pretty easy. Why wouldn't you get the nicer one?
I guess there's just something about a simple, traditional design that appeals to an old geezer like me. It's hard to say no to the luxury of the other one, but...
He frowns, still thinking deeply.
Sounds like you've already decided then.
Oh?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you want the basic one, even though the other one is nicer.
Slowly, he nods.
You might just be right. I'll take this one.
The person running the booth packages up the rod and hands it to Mr. Kim once he's finished paying. Then the two of us start heading back to the fishing spot.
You know, you picked a good time to show up.
Why's that?
I'll show you once the lessons are over.
Oh? That turns out to be shortly after we get there. Mr. Kim goes to apologize to Young Min for taking so long, and I watch some of the other people fishing while we wait, since all the spare rods are taken. Once almost everyone leaves at the end of the hour, Mr. Kim beckons me over.
How's the new rod?
Works like a dream so far. It's the old one I wanted to talk to you about, though.
You gonna give me your old rod? Mr. Kim holds his old fishing pole in one hand, examining it with a small smile. I can see a wistful look in his eyes, like he's recalling old memories. Then he holds it out to me.
Here, I want you to have it.
Me? Why?
Better it go to someone who'll use it than just sit around collecting dust in the garage. Besides, you're going to need something reliable if you're gonna have a chance with the king!
I carefully take the rod, holding it gently like it could fall apart. It's got nicks and grooves on it, and the grip is worn down in places. Signs of how loved and appreciated it was.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure, as long as you promise to give it a good home.
I do. Thanks.
You're welcome. Now, let's make sure we catch the king this year,
Standing at the edge, I cast out my line to get a feel for the rod. Even though it's been well used, it's more comfortable and handles better than the ones I usually borrow. I managed to land a couple fish, so I've let them all go. When it's finally time for me to go home, I carry the fishing pole carefully, making sure that Mr. Kim's trust in me wasn't misplaced. Alright. Idly, I reach up and remove my necklace, letting it dangle from my palm. My bead stands out from the other, regular ones on the chain, since it's still glowing ever so slightly. It's a part of me, not something separate that came to me. It came from within me. And while I've never questioned that, never thought about what it might mean, it has to mean something. Would I even exist without it? Probably not. Not like I am now. I would have died as a regular fox many, many years ago. Curling my fingers around the bead, I can feel my heartbeat. It pulses in the bead too. Got our second ad break, so I will be right back for a little bit. Might take a little bit longer, but we will be back in a little. All right, be back soon. Sorry about that. That was a little bit longer than I expected, unfortunately, but sometimes these things happen. Anyway, we are back to some Please Be Happy. Let us proceed. Also, hey there, Kailash. How you going? Let's sit up straight as well while we are at it. Alright. So, curling my fingers around the bead, I can feel my heartbeat. It pulses in the bead too. And some Starfield, huh? Alright, hopefully you're enjoying that. I close my eyes and try to clear my thoughts of everything except the feeling of the tiny orb in my hand. I focus on it, letting myself feel it, the same way that I'd feel a pillow against my head or grass against my feet. Slowly, pictures come to mind. Visions of the sky and sea and the forest. Visions of people passing by, although their faces are just a blur. Glad to hear that it's improved a bit. It doesn't really seem like my sort of game, I admit, though. No, not visions. Memories. My memories and experiences live on in this bead somehow. Same way they live on in my heart and mind. It's been changed and strengthened as a result of what I've been through. Same as any muscle. Magic courses through me, as basic as my breath and blood. I know, then and there, I can't get rid of it. Even if there's a way, I don't want it. Like any other part of my body, I have to learn to live with it and nurture it. I don't want to be forgotten, but I don't want to lose this part of myself either. I can feel it. It's needy. Neither of us are ready yet. There's still a craving that I can't identify. Gotta have Turians for a space game, huh, Shova? Fair enough. I mean, just add Romans into space and you've pretty much got Turians, right? What is it that I'm missing? What do I still need to give it? There are other things too that make it even more confusing, like how Cello could remember me. Was it something special about her? Or has something about me changed? Time and again, the past few months, I found that answers I've known all along rest inside me. Feelings that I thought I was incapable of come naturally. Why would this be any different? It's a puzzle, but puzzles have solutions. I don't know what the answer is, and I barely even know the question. But I can feel something about myself is going to change soon. How and when, I don't know. It's just an instinct, same as many other things. Uncurling my fingers, the pulsing of my heart gets less noticeable. I open my eyes, see my bead looking just the same. I've been half hoping that it would be different already, but it's not that easy. Put my necklace back on and climb into bed, burying myself beneath my blanket. Even under the covers, in the dark, the light of my bead shines through faintly like a nightlight. Just like a couple days ago, some of the first patrons to arrive at the library on Friday morning are Cello and her friends. This time, it's Pippa who holds the door for the other two to enter with their arms full of books.
Hey, you guys! Good morning, Ms. Miho.
They stopped by for a bit yesterday as well, so all three of them should still remember who I am. All three of them come to my desk, where Cello and Armand carefully set down the stack that they're carrying. Juliet, who hasn't gone to bed yet, emerges from the shelves where she was putting away some books and approaches us as well.
Miss Juliet! We brought back all the stuff that we borrowed.
Thank you. I can see you took great care of them. Were you able to complete your project?
We did. Pippa and I took lots of notes, and Armand stayed up all night writing a script.
Hey there, Rage. How you going?
We decided to put together a play about the history of Wellington, using the library as the main location. Armand and I will be the actors, and Pippa's going to make the decorations.
Glad to have you along. Like, whether someone is here, like, for every stream, or if they come and go, miss a few here and there, like, everyone's welcome.
I said we should do an art project, but Armand didn't want to.
You just didn't want to have to read.
And a boop to you too, Rage. The two of them glare at each other, and Cello rolls her eyes at both of them. I feel a little bad for her, even though I know they're all friends when it counts.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm glad you were able to find something interesting.
We've been playing Please Be Happy for a bit now. This is probably getting close to our 10th stream of the game, if I had to guess. But we're making good progress, certainly. Does it have mention like progress up there or anything? Oh yes, new playthrough. We're doing the Juliet route this time instead of the Aspen run. So yes, new playthrough. I asked on Discord if people wanted to see the Juliet route or not, and people were in favor of it, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, there was so much to read, I almost forgot to sleep. I wish we could stay longer. If we ever come back, could we borrow some more books?
Of course. Books are for reading, after all.
Armand flaps his wings in excitement, like he's already planning a return trip.
I miss my own bed. I'm glad we're going home soon. No offense.
I miss home as well, but I'll miss it here too.
You'll just have to come visit again sometime, like Armand said.
I'd like that very much. I'm a little nervous about participating in a play, but maybe it won't be so bad.
Well, acting's easy. You've just gotta have fun with it.
Yeah, Miho's an actor as well. She plays a great tree.
Right.
Have you done much acting before, Armand?
Just a little bit. I like watching people perform in plays, though. But this is my first time writing one.
I enjoy it as well. I've had the good fortune to know several playwrights myself, and now I know one more.
Armand blushes at the praise. I've never seen a play myself, but I basically know what they are. It's like watching TV in real life.
If our teacher records it, maybe we can send it to you and Miss Miho to watch.
I'm not so sure about that idea.
Aw, why not? You're gonna do great. We can rehearse on the way home to get some extra practice.
How are you going to rehearse when you're sitting on an airship? You won't have a stage or any props.
Gonna annoy all the other people in the airship as well, probably.
We could still go over the lines.
Assuming you're doing them out loud.
Okay. Let's figure that part out later.
Cutting off the argument before it happens, Cello faces Juliet and me again.
Unfortunately, we do have to leave because our class is going to the Skyport soon. But before we go, I had another question for you, Ms. Miho.
Sure. What is it?
Well, would it be okay if I wrote you a letter sometime?
Absolutely.
A letter? About what?
Just about life in Amarina. and you can tell me about life here. I thought maybe we could be pen pals. If you don't want to, though, that's alright.
I don't think this happened in the Aspen route, did it?
Oh, I'd like to. I've never had a pen pal before.
I'm not entirely sure what it is either.
Neither have I. But I want to hear more about Wellington and how it's still changing today.
That sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Thank you. I already can't wait.
Oh, maybe you could get extra credit too.
We'd better not need it after we do this play.
We won't.
Slowly, the five of us move back outside to the front of the library, with Armand and Juliet chatting about the books he read. Soon, it's time for them to head off.
Thanks again, Miss Miho and Miss Juliet, for showing us the library and letting us borrow stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
It was our pleasure, I'm sure. Right, Miho?
Yeah. I hope you guys get a good grade.
Me too.
It's sad to think that Pippa and Armand will have forgotten me by the time they get back home. I'm glad that they had a good time, though, and it was nice to be able to help out a bit. Even if it was mostly Juliet who helped them.
I appreciate it too. I'll be sure to tell you all about how it goes when I send you that letter.
Sounds good. Bye, you guys.
Goodbye.
All three of them wave as they make their way down the hill. Juliet and I wave back for as long as we can. Once they're out of sight, we go back inside.
I wonder if Cello will be able to remember me long enough to write a letter.
I hope so. It was nice of you to agree to be her pen pal.
She reminded me a lot of myself. She's new to Amarina too, and still getting used to living there.
In that case, I'm sure she'll appreciate having you to give her advice.
I don't know if I can be very helpful there.
Sometimes, when it comes to young people, just having someone to listen and be interested can be enough.
I can do that at least.
I know you can. You're always capable of more than you think.
I hope you're right.
After gathering up the books the kids brought back, Juliet and I kiss each other goodnight, and she goes upstairs, while I get ready for my normal day at the library. At some point, I hear the sound of an airship passing overhead, and wonder if it has Cello and the others on board. Whether or not I do get a letter from her, I'm glad they all had a good time. I hope Cello can start to feel more at home in Amarina soon. One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned from living at the library is that it's important to feel like you belong somewhere. Alright. Let us head over to... Let's head to the Oriental Bay. I'm just enjoying a nice walk on the beach when an intrusive thought makes itself known. Sand. How far does it go? Like, beaches always have a definitive cutoff where the sand stops and turns into dirt and streets, but what about down? How far down can you dig and still get sand? Or is it just dirt after a certain point? Wait, let's think about this logically. Sand must be a product of the ocean in some way, since it's always right next to the ocean. So sand probably goes down as far as the ocean goes. Huh? But then where do deserts come from? I think it's better if I don't think about this anymore. See, this is what libraries are for. You can do research on that sort of thing, right? Alright, so yeah, that's the poor bird over there. hurting your head with all that sand talk. I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse, and it gets everywhere. I like you, chat. I like all of you in chat, because you are not sand. Telling Aspen and Juliet about Silver, answering all their questions, takes a long time. I tell them just about everything, starting with back when we first met, right after I went to the museum. I am always going to make that same damn sand joke whenever there is an opportunity, because I love to make that joke. It is a dumb, stupid joke that I like to make. So you gotta be fast, alright? You gotta be fast if you want to beat me to it. I leave out the parts about Silver's history, though. Instead, I talk about the time I've spent with her myself and the things that I've learned from her. Eventually, Aspen goes home and Juliet goes to bed, and I spend the rest of my day watching TV and lazing around. I close my eyes at one point, just intending to take a quick nap, but when I open them, I see that I've slept until nightfall once again. I don't mind too much. At least Juliet will be up by now. As I make my way towards Juliet's room, I notice a sound of conversation coming from inside her office. Freezing with my hand almost on the handle, I listen.
You were right all along.
I know. I know all too well.
There's a sound of a chair scraping across the wooden floor.
You always did have to learn things the hard way.
A few moments later, I hear the sound of flapping, leathery wings from beyond the door, and of papers being scattered. The flapping sound quickly grows distant, and then disappears entirely. I let out a silent breath as I hear Juliet's footsteps, papers being picked up, and then Juliet sitting down in her chair once more.
You can come in now, Miho.
I really have lost my touch when it comes to sneaking. I open the door as invited, to see Juliet's study looking the same as ever. The open window and blowing curtains are the only indicators of her guest that just left. I lower myself into the empty chair. Juliet strikes a match, relighting the lamp that is blown out. Well, she's a vampire, not a bat. There is a difference, but she does say that her sense of hearing and sight have improved, so absolutely there is that.
How much did you hear?
Just the very end. I was coming to see you. I didn't know you already had company. Sorry for listening in.
It's all right. I don't feel the need to keep anything secret from you. The only reason I haven't introduced you to Ezekiel is for his sake. He isn't fond of meeting people.
And we aren't fond of commissioning more sprites for the game.
It's okay. I know how that feels. What did you mean, though? About him being right?
Juliet laughs, closing her eyes.
Where to begin?
She stands up and closes the window, peering out into the night for a moment before she sits back down.
I told you that Ezekiel was the one who helped me gain my footing in the human world, yes? Well, there's a bit more to it than that.
Was he the one that embraced you at all, or...?
He was the one who turned me into a vampire in the first place.
Yeah, there we go.
I have a story not too dissimilar from your own with Zhong Ying, though it began in a very different way.
Adjusting my seat so I'm next to Juliet, I lean forward and take her hand. Leaning against me, She idly runs her thumb across mine as she stares into the flickering candle, recalling days long past.
I was a human once, of course. Long, long ago. In those times, we didn't know about the underworld, or anything that lay beyond the edges of our sky. Few denizens of the underworld traveled to the overworld back then. Those who did were feared and reviled, but also disbelieved in. Truth turned to hearsay, hearsay turned to legend, and legend turned to fable. Stories told to impart some moral or lesson, not to be believed. That's where today's term fabled was first born. As a human, my life was painful and dull, and cursed by circumstance. I lived, believing and hoping for a better tomorrow that never came. There came a time when I had enough. Enough of agony, of poverty, disappointment. I took myself to the dry edge of the world, beyond which lay nothing but the unknown. And I threw myself off.
Gasp, unable to stop myself, even though I know that she turns out okay.
As I fell, I had plenty of time to contemplate the stupidity of my decision, and to dread the fate that was rushing to meet me. How solvable all my problems seemed as I fell away from them. What should have been the end was only more pain. Somehow I survived, but just barely. Broken. As I opened my eyes for what should have been the last time, I saw trees and a purple sky that I thought must be heaven. Then, a figure appeared, and I was certain that I was in hell. Ezekiel offered me a choice. Breathe my last, or accept his gift and live on. From there, the world I had plummeted from, the world that contained all my pain and sorrow, was a minuscule dot, nearly imperceptible above me. That we are having this conversation is proof of what choice I made. In time, my body healed, though not fully.
Juliet taps her cane against the ground to demonstrate.
I had gifts and powers beyond my wildest dreams. I felt I had cheated both life and death. And yet, decades passed. Even the novelty of those gifts eventually wore off. There was a secret, though. A truth I had yet to learn. In the underworld, magic flows freely like air, imbuing those connected to it with power that lasts for generations. Yet being that close to so much magic at all times takes a slow toll even on the bodies of the fabled. We age down there, like humans, but at a much slower rate. But for those who live their entire lives in the underworld, no matter how long they may be, there eventually comes an end. Immortality was a lie. Not so in the world above, though. So distant from magic and its source, those effects aren't felt, and so immortality was truly attainable. Decades later, when it came time for war, I remained disinterested and unconcerned by its effects. When it came time for peace, I was equally indifferent. For a time, Ezekiel himself had tired of the hedonistic lives our kind led, and departed for the overworld nearly as soon as the dust had settled, determined to maintain a quiet and hermetic existence.
The war was started to like basic immigration rights, perhaps, for people in the underworld who seek immortality, wanting to go to the overworld where they can have it. I don't know, they don't sort of like, it's all sort of like very background information here. But like, it's something that I find interesting.
He returned to the underworld occasionally, with stories of how things had changed and were changing. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to return to the overworld, just to see. We rode a lift upwards together, a journey that took days back then. And he told me of the island where he had settled down and found peace. He gave me only one piece of advice, which I brushed off as obvious and unnecessary: to not concern myself with the lives and affairs of mortals. We arrived near what would someday become Wellington, and soon went our separate ways again. I had intended to only make a short visit, to sate my curiosity. To my surprise, I discovered a world that had moved past much of the violence and suffering that I so hated, and a world that had come to welcome the fabled. I extended my short visit over and over, finding myself unable to leave. Gradually, Ezekiel's advice all but faded from my mind.
Finally, Juliet trails off. I sat with rapt attention the entire time she spoke, and only relaxed my muscles when I noticed how stiffly I'd been sitting. Juliet doesn't have to finish her story, because I can say the last line for her.
Until you met Cosette.
Mm-hmm. Slowly, she nods. We both sit there quietly, our hands locked together, as we contemplate what she just shared. It's hard for me to picture Juliet as anything other than how she is today. Warm, patient, kind. I can't imagine her as someone who would have once been feared and reviled. Yet, I can understand the pain, if only to a tiny extent. I can understand what some of those years must have felt like. For all my time alive, I've changed the most in the past few months by far. But for Juliet, her life has been nothing but change. Both the world she came from and the world she exists in now. I also can't help but think about what she said regarding immortality.
So, the fact that you're thinking about going back to the underworld, a place where you get older, does that mean that you want to...
Juliet brings her other hand up to enclose mine, pressing tightly.
Not for a long, long time. But I can't deny that around every corner, behind every door, looks a painful memory of days gone by.
I still maintain that just because those painful memories do exist, why can't you just open a different door and welcome in a new joyful memory or a joyful experience? I don't know, I find it hard to see immortality as a curse.
I had never loved anyone before Cosette. Not in so deeply a way as to use that word. But there were still friends whose company I enjoyed, and time that was spent laughing and smiling. They're all gone now, but I'm not. I see their ghost everywhere. But those memories are all that I have left. I'm afraid to forget, just as I'm afraid to remember.
The flame danced on the candle wick, throwing a crazy shadow onto the wall. will burn itself out again soon. I know I should say something, but I'm paralyzed. Everything I could say feels inadequate. In the face of everything she told me, do I even have the right to want her to stay? If going back to the underworld is the only way for her to escape the pain, then shouldn't I want her to go? My brain tells me yes, but my heart tells me no. My heart tells me I want her to find a different way. Is that wrong of me?
Mia?
The sound of her voice breaks my reverie. As she removes her hands from mine, I see a sparkling uncertainty in her eyes.
I have something very selfish to ask of you.
Want me to go to the underworld with you?
What is it?
If I do go, would you come with me?
What?
Juliet speaks quickly, like she's embarrassed or nervous.
As a fabled, you would be safe in the underworld, unlike a human. But because your magic doesn't come from the same source, you would still be immune to time's flow. I still can't decide. I feel terrible asking you this, and yet I know I would feel more terrible not to.
I mean, in that case, no downsides, right? Yeah, I would go with you.
Don't answer me now. Please, take time to think about it.
All I can manage is to nod dumbly. At least her second request is an easy one. Thinking about it is all I'll be able to do.
Thank you.
Right now, though, I want to do anything but think. Standing up, I reach for Juliet and pull her into a hug and a wordless kiss. Yeah, I know that, Infernal. But, like, that would essentially be the same case as if you were, like, with a mortal, I guess. When we finally do pull apart, I lean my forehead against her, and she rests herself against me. Hey there, Hunter. How you going?
I love you.
I'm doing quite well, thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well. Just, playing some Please Be Happy, and, dealing with, questions of mortality right now, apparently. It's all I can think to say.
I love you too. Thank you.
2 weeks... Oh, sorry. 2 weeks later. The next couple weeks go by in relative normalcy. Wake up, go to work, and spend what time I can with Juliet. Aspen comes by occasionally, but for the most part is busy by herself. Neither Juliet nor I talk about that evening in her study or her invitation. We don't have to. It's practically the only thing on my mind. When I walk down Cuba Street or climb up Mount Victoria, I have to ask myself if I'm ready to leave it all behind. I want to be with Juliet. That part's easy to decide. Even if we've only been lovers for a few weeks, I've spent enough time with her to know that I want to stay with her. I know I can't promise her forever, but right now, there's nothing I want more. Still, there's a lot I'd have to give up. Aspen and my other friends, as well as the first home I've ever had. Memories may be painful for Juliet, but for me, they're almost nothing but good. I always thought I was the kind of person who could move at the drop of a hat, without worrying about leaving anything behind. Now I realize that's because I never had anything to use before. The candlelight from Juliet's trusty lamp flickers as we sit quietly in the dark. There's the occasional noise of her pen scratching, or of Juliet typing something on the computer, but it's otherwise silent. I sit with a book open on my lap. It's simple enough for me to read, but I've been on the same page for ages. Pictures of the underworld, both photos and drawings, take up most of the space. Captions go along with them, describing what some of the places are. An enchanted forest, a town where it never stops raining, a castle that can walk like a person. They all sound and look interesting. I can't really make myself feel excited about the idea of seeing them. Not the way things are now. The sound of Juliet closing her laptop catches my attention, and I look over to see her rubbing her eyes.
Done already?
For now. I have only this one request to work on, so I can take my time with it.
You look like you could use a nap.
Do I? I think I'm alright. The night's still young, after all. Perhaps a spot of tea would be nice, though.
Juliet reaches for a teapot, but frowns when she picks it up.
Ugh, I'm out. I have to fetch some more from downstairs.
I can get it for you. I could use a snack anyway.
That would be nice. Thank you, Miho.
Sure.
Really, it's just an excuse for me to put the book away. I hop up and go downstairs, leaving Juliet in her study. Despite the time that's passed since we talked about going to the underworld together, I don't feel any closer to deciding what I want to do. My relationship with Juliet only makes me more confused. Sometimes, things between us don't feel much different than before we started dating. That has its ups and downs to me. I like that I don't feel pressured to act differently, but I also like all the new things, like kissing her and holding her hand. Juliet seems to enjoy those things too, and I wish I wasn't the one starting them all the time. Neither of us are the type of person to be really lovey-dovey like I've seen on TV, and that's fine. I know she means it when she says she loves me, and that's enough. Besides, both of us are still new to this, and I'd rather it be that way than feel like I need to catch up to her somehow. In the kitchen, I start boiling a pot of water while I make myself a sandwich. Juliet keeps tea leaves in the kitchen and in her office, so the only thing she needs me to bring is the water. I munch on my snack while I wait, till steam starts to rise and the kettle whistles. Aspen got an electric kettle for Juliet that's much faster, but I know Juliet prefers her tea from a regular old pot. Once it's ready, I grab the kettle and carefully take it back upstairs with me.
Here you... Oh.
With a pen still in her hand, Juliet is slouched across an open book on her desk, fast asleep. Quietly as I can, I set the teapot down somewhere safe and tiptoe towards her. I was only downstairs for a few minutes, though she must have fallen asleep right after I left. I'm used to her going to bed right after we spend time together, but it's still early in her usual waking hours. Lately, though, I've been hearing the sounds of her being awake at all sorts of different times, whether we're hanging out or not. I guess it must be catching up to her. After moving the lamp a bit further away, just to be safe, I grab a blanket from nearby and drape it across Juliet's shoulders. She doesn't react, but I can see it rise and fall with her steady breathing. There's something that feels odd about seeing Juliet asleep. and it takes me a moment to realize what it is. I'm not used to seeing her look so relaxed. With her eyes closed and sloppy posture, doesn't look guarded or elegant, or any of the other words that would usually describe her. Instead, she just looks like anyone else when they're asleep. Somehow, it's nice to see. Wish she could be this open when she's awake sometimes too. I gently take the pen from her and set it aside, doing my best to keep the blanket from sliding off her. Then, I lean forward and blow the candle out.
Good night.
I whisper into the darkness before tiptoeing out of the room, spending the last of my time before bed by myself. Alright. So, I think over there is a good spot to wrap things up for the day. Just on that rather cute moment. Now, we did hear
Let's see what you reeled in today.
that there was something in the gallery in regards to what was it? This one over here. It's like an extra picture or something. Ah, here we are. That is incredibly cute. It's a shame that they don't actually sort of let you know about this. Like, I would have never discovered this picture if Callista hadn't mentioned that this was something that existed. This is a very beautiful piece. I like it. They are so good. Absolutely. But they hid this! They're hiding this from me. I would have never found this otherwise. Alright. So, yeah, we are going
Stop by again.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Don't worry, Mr. Kim. We will stop by again. Alright. So, looks like we're going to be raiding the Astral Hammer today. That is fine. Let me go over my schedule, however, so that people know what's going to be happening. Alright. So, tomorrow we're going to be doing some more Zenless Zone Zero, or ZZZ, which should be fun. Then on the Thursday, we're going to do some more Wolfenstein, and we'll do some more Wolfenstein on the weekend as well. So, look forward to that, everyone. Okay? Now, what is Astral Hammer playing anyway? What have we got here? The Islands of Insight, huh? All right then. Looks like a puzzle game, at least from the caption over there. So we'll go on in over there and go say hello. All right. So thank you very much as always, and I hope to see you all next time. Okay. See ya.